Students, welcome to today's live IELTS class. My name is Adrian. I'm streaming to you from beautiful Victoria here in Western Canada. I hope that all of you are having an awesome weekend so far, and I'm glad you are here with me for this IELTS speaking part 3. We're talking about modern homes. This is a continuation of the speaking part 2 cue card topic we just finished 30 minutes ago, which was talking about your dream house or the perfect house for you. This is an all chat class. Everybody is welcome to join the chat. I encourage you to ask me questions and join in on the fun. Practice your English. Welcome Sarah, our chat moderator. If you have questions, you can ask her as well. Welcome Riyadh, Chayani, Sabra. Nice to have all of our regular viewers, and thank you members for joining. Fuang, Domenico, Andrew, Romelia, nice to have you all with me. Students, this lesson is presented to you by aehelp.com for academic IELTS. Visit us there. For general IELTS, visit us at gieltshelp.com. These websites serve as our materials for these live classes. This is our academic IELTS website here at aehelp.com. You can click on this big red button just right over there, just above my head, to join our premium IELTS package. It's a one-time payment for lifetime access, and it doesn't cost a lot of money. And then you have all of our practice exams, videos, audio materials, which we use in these live classes. We are an IDP affiliate. We're a British Council partner, IELTS Test Registration Center. We help thousands of students. Here are success stories that you can look at when you have a moment. gieltshelp.com is for general IELTS students. Again, click this big red button that's right there above my head to join the premium IELTS package. And you can use the code WRA9, which is coming from our latest video release on YouTube, for a 10% discount. The price is different in different countries depending on economy, so check that out. Look at your local price. Again, it's not a lot, not when you're considering sitting the IELTS exam, and you definitely want to avoid sitting it 2-3 times if possible. Students, we have apps. The apps link to the websites. You can download the apps Academic IELTS Help or General IELTS Help from your app stores and link them to your web account. There's a button, it's More, and then when you click on More, there'll be a link, and then link to web account, so you're in the same account. Instagram, IELTS_AEHelp, GIELTS Help. And for emails, if you have questions, don't be shy. We are here to help. Adrian at aehelp.com, admin at aehelp.com. Use those email addresses for questions that don't get answered in the class. For live schedules, live class IELTS schedules, definitely subscribe to this channel. Hit the subscribe button, get the notifications so you know when it's happening. We've got classes regularly. I'm here with you to help you, guide you on your IELTS journey. We've got no class tomorrow, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. We've got class again on Thursday. And I'll be posting this schedule on our YouTube bulletin board. And then we've got, not task 1, but we've got task 2 for members on the 20th. Okay, we did task 1 this week, and we did listening part 1, part 2 this week. So we'll do part 3 and then part 4 next week on Friday. Okay, next week we will also have a Discord class. I will set that up. It's on IELTS Prep Discord, so go there to check the event. I'll have that later today. And again, we have this new video. It's starting to get pretty popular. I just checked the views, and it was a couple thousand views in the last hour. So check that out. It's for your speaking, to practice your speaking. It's a good one. Okay. All right. So we get into the IELTS speaking part 3, the last part of the speaking section, and it takes about 5 minutes, 6 minutes. Arguably the most challenging part. You have to make sure that you're communicating well, you're connecting your ideas, you're connecting your sentences. And again, this is talk about the home. So You want to remember all of the vocabulary ideas that you had in part 2, not just while you were speaking, but also during the 1-minute preparation time. That's really important, okay? So remember not only your part 2 response, but also the thoughts and notes from the 1-minute preparation time in part 2. Okay, that's really important. So remember all those different ways to say dream home, okay, mansion, beautiful real estate. All right. Okay. So let's get into it. We're going to learn strategies as we're practicing. I want to give you a lot of chances to speak today in this class. I give you a lot of instructions throughout the week. Many of you have some really good ideas about what you need to do for the speaking. So we want to practice those skills. And of course, answers, explanations, okay? Answers, lots of explanations. You're going to learn connective words. You're going to learn different kinds of conjunctions in the class. I will emphasize those. We're going to do this through practice. So I will show you Band 9 sample answers. You give me your Band 9 sample answers, okay? All right. So here we go. Let's do it. Let's just do the first question. Let's talk about the home. What are the most important points to consider when buying a new home? Remember, this is not an ESL exam. Some examiners will speak a little bit faster, some slower. They all just speak their natural English. Okay. Ooh, my tea, I just made it. It's still too hot. All right. Okay, so what are the most important points to consider when buying a new home? Points is plural. Pay attention to that. You need at least 2 points, not just one, at least 2, because it's plural, okay? All right, there's my Band 9 answer. Did you come up with a Band 9 answer? Are you coming up with the Band 9 answer now? All right, so here is my Band 9 answer. And again, this is speaking, so make sure to speak and repeat. Okay, copy what I say, copy how I say it. When you see new vocabulary, write it down. Okay, all right. So repeat questions and answers. So here we go. Repeat the question. What are the most important points to consider when buying a new home? When purchasing a new piece of real estate to call home, it's quite important to consider budget as well as the neighborhood. First, the amount spent will have a great impact on the financial pressure for the purchaser over the coming years. And of course, the surrounding area should be close to work and school to minimize commute times. Okay. The lexical resource, the grammatical range accuracy, they're all, and the coherence are all in the Band 9 range for this answer. All right. Let's see what Domenico says. So I'm looking at the chat constantly, everyone. And here is Domenico's answer. Let's take a look at it. All right. Domenico says, I believe some of the most important factors to think over before making either a move or an offer are the location of the property, the size, along with the amenities and neighborhood. Domenico, it's a good start. This so far is a band 7.5. To make it a band 9, we need an explanation. Why? Okay, why are these important? And notice how the follow-up question is, why are these important? So if you can preempt, get ahead of that follow-up question and give the reason, then the examiner is just simply going to go to the next question. Okay, so Domenico, I think you have some good English there, good vocabulary, but we need a bit more coherence, a bit more fluency. So we want to give the explanation of why amenities, neighborhood, location of the property are important. Okay. Akira says, I think. Okay, you have to say I think, Akira, not I thinks. If you say I thinks, then you're talking like Jar Jar Binks out of Star Wars. I thinks before buying a home. It's weird, I know, but that's actually how he talks. He makes Jar Jar Binks, if you ever watch Star Wars, he makes some strange grammatical mistakes. That's what's unique about his speaking style, like using plurals incorrectly. So careful with that. I think, not I thinks. I think before buying a home, a person should be careful about the surroundings, should be careful about checking. We got a missing verb here, Akira. Checking the surrounding area. And here's your explanation, whether it is safe. And this place has every requirement to live comfortably, such as a large bathroom with a bathtub for relaxing after a hard day at work. Okay, so Akira, we just corrected that from a band 5 to a band 9. Not a lot of corrections, right? But some really important corrections. So here we go. I think before buying a home, a person should be careful about checking the surrounding area, whether it is safe, and if this place has every requirement to live comfortably, such as a large bathroom with a bathtub, not tube, tub, for relaxing after a hard day at work. Watch those plurals. Okay. Akira says, it's a mistake. I don't want to talk like Jar Jar Binks. Yes, you don't want to do that. Okay. Romelia. Let's see what you have. We'll check one more here. Romelia says, I would consider first and foremost safety, fire risk, structural reliability, insulation, and also durability. Okay, let me do a little bit of correction here, Romelia. You're on the right track. We just need it to be a little bit better. Let's do this. So, Romelia, I like how you're thinking of multiple answers, and so far students have done a good job of that. Okay, I would consider first and foremost. First and foremost is a good expression. It's emphasizing firstly. Safety. Okay, we don't need the here. And we don't need brackets. You're speaking, right? So write as if you speak, like fire risk. Structural, instead of structural reliability, more commonly we would say structural stability. Okay, structural stability and the surroundings, because these surroundings are unique to that piece of real estate. And not but also, because but would be a contrast, and durability is not a contrast to structural stability or surroundings, but it's addition. So instead of but, we would just say also, Romelia. Also durability, like building materials. Now, careful here, because when you say structural stability, that also means the building materials. So you're kind of jumping back or repeating what you've already said. Should not be neglected, and also energy costs and ecological impact. Okay, there's a lot there, Romelia. So instead of listing so many points, less points, more explanation, more clarity. Okay, so I would do it like this, Romelia. I would consider first and foremost structural stability and the surroundings, such as the building materials, making sure that high quality wood, metal, glass are used for the frame, the windows, so that the house would last for many, many years, even generations to come. Also, the energy costs. With the rising cost of gas and electricity, it's very important to have good insulation so that I would not be paying thousands of dollars each month for utility bills. Okay, got it? So explanation, right? Expensive utility bills. That would be a good explanation, right? Expensive utility bills. Yes, I've heard in Europe it's gone completely out of hand. All right. That's how you do it. So answer, explanation. Okay. Sarah, I love the answer you're giving there. Rajni asked about grammar, and Sarah's saying you have to restudy grammar again and again, and it will help you so much. Absolutely, students. Believe it or not, even as a native speaker of English, I have gone back to study grammar multiple times throughout my life. As early as just a couple of years ago, I did a full review of a lot of different grammar forms in English. Okay, so grammar, it's okay to go back and study all the way from the basics. Subject, verb, object. Okay. All right. So thank you, Sarah, for helping with those answers in the chat. Sarah's there to help you guys, so ask her while I'm talking as well. This is a multifaceted class. All right. Students, let's jump to the next question. Now, why are these important? That's a follow-up question in part 3. And if you haven't answered that question within your first answer, the examiner will ask you. They will say, why are these important? Now, sometimes what happens, okay, and this is a bit awkward, but it happens, is they ask you anyway. What? What do you do, right? So let's say that the examiner says, let's talk about the home. Okay, and then they're like, what are the most important points to consider when buying a new home? So you're like, when purchasing a new piece of real estate to call home, it's quite important to consider budget as well as the neighborhood. Firstly, the amount spent will have a great impact on the financial pressure for many years to come. And of course, the surrounding area should be close to work and school to minimize commute times. All right, now the examiner says, why are these important? What do you do? So if you feel like you already answered this, what do you do? What do you do? Do you just stare at the examiner and be like, next question, please? Do you get angry? Do you say, I just gave you that answer. Come on, what are you, making a fool out of me? Or do you do something else? What do you do? Yeah, no, don't get into a verbal fight with the examiner. That will not work. All right. Prakash says, as I've already said before, right? Okay. Ishma says, as I already mentioned, Mad says, just get up and go away. Right. Not a good idea. It's going to be expensive. Okay. Yeah, you're on the right track, students. So the idea is connect and give a bit more detail. Stop. Okay. So don't spend a lot of time on it. So the answer here, connect and give a bit more detail. Okay. So you can say, for example, in addition to what I just said. Okay, so notice this. You can connect a lot of different ways. This is a good one because you're letting the examiner know not only that you just answered that, but that you're about to give more details. So this is a really good way to start a response when you have this kind of a situation. In addition to what I have just said about financial stress and commute times. Okay, so this is going to give a bit more detail here regarding my answers. Now, notice this expression here. In addition to what I've just said, band 9, so when the examiners are listening for band 9, they're literally instructed to listen for how much of a conversation. So does your speaking interview sound like you're having a conversation, or does it sound like you're having a Q&A session, like question, answer, question, answer? If it's just question, answer, you can get a band 6, maybe a band 7, but getting into band 8, band 9 will become less likely. For band 8, band 9, the examiner has to feel like, oh, we're having a conversation. These answers are related, and this person is giving me connected ideas, okay? So this is a way to do it. In addition to what I've just said about financial stress and commute times, the budget, what could I say? Okay, so students, instead of spoiling the fun, what could I say here? Think quickly and keep it simple. So the budget, of course, partly has to do with financial pressure. What else could the budget be important for? So staying with the same concept, okay? Because those are the two that I gave. One was budget, and then the other one was the distance to school and work. Okay? So in addition to what I've just said about financial stress and commute times, the budget is also important to consider. Why? Give me some information. Okay, Dewey says, as I've just mentioned, besides the financial and location-wise aspect, these can save the buyer a huge amount of time and filter the available options for the coming home based on their income. Yes, okay. Dewey, you're thinking in the right direction. Remember, Dewey, we don't use the word you and your in the speaking interview. Okay, we don't know about the examiner. We don't know about their budget. We don't know what kind of house they have. So we don't use you and your. Okay. Helen says the budget should be after paying for the home to maintain the home. Yes, very good. Okay. Budget is also important to consider. So there is enough money for maintenance costs and other unexpected expenses. Right? Okay. And proximity to amenities will greatly impact the overall quality of life. All right, good. And you might even give an example, like living a stone's throw from a swimming pool can lead to regular exercise, right? There you go. And I just threw an idiom in there for you as well, stone's throw. Stone's throw means very close because you can throw the stone to that distance, okay? Now, that's not technically, I mean, I can't throw the stone to the swimming pool, but I live pretty close to a swimming pool. Okay, so we connect and we give details. Everybody's clear on that? Okay. All right. So let's repeat. In addition to what I've just said about financial stress and commute times, the budget is also important to consider so there's enough money for maintenance costs or unexpected expenses. And proximity to amenities will greatly impact overall quality of life, like living a stone's throw from the swimming pool can lead to regular exercise. Okay, I've got lots of thumbs up. They're coming at me now, which is good. Okay. All right, good. Dewey's got it. Everybody has it. All right. So that's what we do in speaking part 3 to push towards that band 9. Band 9 speaking interviews sound like conversations, or better said, are conversations that are connected and related, okay, to the ideas and the main questions. All right, students. So now let's do practice. All right, I think we're at a time where we can do some practice. We're getting lots of feedback, lots of ideas, and of course, Practice makes perfect. Utam is asking, how much should I speak in part 3? You should speak, it depends on your fluency. As long as you have relatively good fluency, and I don't recommend sitting the IELTS exam until you have fluent English, because band 6 is fluent English, and if you do not get band 6 in the speaking section, it's not enough to really get into university or for immigration, okay? In some cases, there's rare exceptions, but that's very rare. In the speaking section, you need to get at least a band 6, which means that you are a fluent user of the English language. You can make mistakes in your speaking at band 6, but you have to be fluent. And if you are fluent, for part 3, you should be thinking about 2 to 3 sentences. Answer, explain, example, okay? Roughly word count, anywhere from 20 to 40 words per answer, okay? All right. So let's do some practice. Let me show you how to practice. Sarah, can you please put the instructions in the chat for everybody as well? I'll just start by the URL. There's the URL. Sarah's going to copy that in again, I think, in just a moment. So let's do this, students. So put the URL into your browser. Open up aehelp.com. And then go to your My Student account. aehelp.com will look like this. Again, you can join the premium IELTS package by clicking that big red button that's just above my head there. It's a one-time payment. It's lifetime access. And then when you do that, you have access to all the materials we use in the live classes, computer-based practice exams, interactive course. The interactive course has lots of information for the speaking. Students, make sure to go through the speaking section of the interactive course, okay? There's just a lot of really good information there for you to go through, okay? Speaking structure and question samples and much more, okay? So go through that. For now, though, we are focusing on using this button in your student account, which is the student partner speaking. That's going to be kind of right above my head there. And we're going to click on that, except that you will be nice to each other, use it for IELTS, and then you get into this window where you'll see lots and lots of students. We've got a lot of our premium students. Premium students, make sure that you are in here regularly. When you're using the premium course, open up this window, keep it open, and wait for someone to ping you or ping somebody else, okay? But somebody has to start the conversation. You have to start the conversation. So either ping someone or wait to get a ping, but take the first step, okay? And then here, right now, students, in this class, you can message me. You're going to see me here as master, and you will see a blue envelope next to my handle, okay? Click that blue envelope, send me a message. Say, I want to volunteer, can I try? And then we'll get going on it, okay? All right. Let's do this. So, Raquea, I promised that I'd give you a chance. You were in the last class too. You did not get a chance there, so I keep an eye out for everybody. We're going to give Raquea Domenico a chance as well, and lots of other students. Hopefully some new students as well, some new volunteers coming into the class today. So let's just go one step at a time. We got lots of time, everybody. Strategies and tips coming up. Make sure to repeat. Raquea, are you ready? Now, if you were in the last class, you can pretend like you already gave me the part 2 answer, so you can use that to connect your answers. Okay? Raquea, if you're ready, let me know. I am ready on my end. Raquea says yes. Hi, Raquea. How are you?
I am doing great. How about you?
I'm doing fantastic. Raquea, any exciting plans for the weekend?
Not now. Only planning for the IELTS.
Not yet. Not yet, is what you want to say. All right, Raquea, then let me help you with that preparation. I'm going to ask you a couple of questions. Give me some nice full sentence answers. Are you ready?
Yes, I am ready.
Okay, here we go. Let's talk about home. What are the most important points to consider when buying a new home?
The most important points when we are buying home is location as well as price, because it is very important to know about location to go office and schools. It is convenient, and also it's according to our budget.
Why are these important points?
As I mentioned before, it is important to going daily commute, like if we are living uh, uh, very far to our office and schools, then it is difficult to go daily, and it is also depend on our budget, because if we are buying a very pricey house, then it is difficult to maintenance.
Okay. Good. We'll stop there for a second and reflect. Raquea. So Raquea, that was a solid 6.5 to 7. Okay. Definitely a 6.5. You're close to a 7. Your fluency is very good. We need to be a little bit more accurate with some of the word forms and grammar. Okay, I'll talk about those. And then to improve to a band 8 or a band 9, we need to give a little bit better information. But you're on the right track, Raquea. So pay attention, everybody. This is for everyone. Here we go. The first question I asked was, what are the most important points to consider when buying a new home? You said the most important points when we are buying a home is location as well as price. So you basically just mirrored the question, right? So you used most important points when buying, which is the same vocabulary as the question. Not a lot of paraphrasing there, okay?
Okay.
It's totally fine. Raquel, that's totally fine. For the first part 3 question, if you're using the same words as the question almost verbatim, which means word for word, it's not a bad idea. It's actually a good strategy because it gets you focused on being accurate. Okay, so if you're trying to do too much paraphrasing, it's easier to make mistakes. You should paraphrase, but it's okay to do that in the next question or the third question. So the first question, just starting like this, it's a good strategy, get you focused. So it's totally okay. So that was good, okay? And then you gave some really nice fast answers. You said location as well as price. Good, noun.
Yes.
Very nice, okay, accurate. So until this point, you're at a band 9. Okay, and then after that, you said, because it is very important to know about the location. The connection, because it is very important to know, that part was okay. But this part, the about the location, that was a little bit strange. It's like, what do we know about the location? You're not giving me any more information here, okay? So instead of know about the location, because it is very important to know how much time a person needs each day to go to work, okay, or the office. To go to the office and make sure it's convenient, okay?
Okay.
All right, so a little bit better grammar or content there in that context. Now, when I asked you the follow-up question, Raquel, and here's an important tip and strategy for everybody using Raquel's answer. So here I said, okay, why are these important? And you said, well, when purchasing a new piece of, oh no, that was mine. Here, where's yours? It's down more. Here we go. Okay, so I said, why are these important? You said, as I mentioned before, it is important going daily commute. That's a bit weird, the grammar. So daily commute is important.
Okay.
Like if we are living very far. Okay, Raquel, so Your thinking is good. So you said, like, if we're living very far, how
Yes.
can I make this? How can I easily make this a higher band score? What can I do here? What kind of a trick or strategy? I've taught you this a few times in past classes. What should you include with this very far? Maybe somebody in the chat can help you, some of our regular students. Maybe they can figure out what I'm thinking about here. So, what does it mean
Li-
living very far? What do you think?
Living far away.
Like what? There's a very important skill, and it's a lot of times people forget about this, but it's really important to remember this in your IELTS, in your speaking, and in your writing.
Okay.
Andrew is kind of on the right track. So if you look at the chat, Andrew's kind of helping out there. Sabina is absolutely on the right track. Okay.
Yeah, living 6 kilometer away or 10 kilometer away.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so giving specific numbers. So when we're talking about a house and we're talking about price and we're talking about distance, when we think of specific numbers, that can really help us to give better answers. So as I mentioned before, daily commute is important. Like if we're living very far, like a 1 hour drive
Yeah.
to our school and office, then it is difficult to go daily. And then when you're thinking about a 1 hour drive, like in India where you are, right, in big cities like New Delhi or Mumbai,
Yeah. Yeah.
if I live far away from work, like a 1 hour drive, I have to deal with a lot of stress. What's the stress when I'm driving to work? What kind of a stress do I often get into? What happens? What do we call that
It's
situation?
it's traffic.
Traffic jams, right? So like an hour drive
Yeah.
to our school or office, then it is difficult and stressful to get into traffic jams and waste time. See, so by using that quantitative language, you think about a lot more detailed, useful information that helps you to bump up your score. Okay.
Okay.
And then you can say also the budget, right? Also, depending on our budget, if we are, you're missing some important words here, if we are buying a pricey house, like $1 million, okay, more numbers, it is difficult to maintain.
Yeah.
Okay, so quantitative language, Rakwea, don't forget about that, all right? Let's practice this
Okay.
one more time. Rakwea, why are
Okay.
these important?
As I mentioned before, daily commute is important. Like if we are living very far, like 5 kilometers away or 1 hour drive, then it is difficult to stressful and traffic jams. Also, depending on our budget, if we are buying a pricey house, then it is difficult to maintain.
Okay, good. So much better, all right? So those numbers are really, really helping out. Okay, Rakwea, keep practicing. Keep going forward. You're doing a fantastic job, okay?
Okay, thank you so much
All
for
right.
giving me the chance.
Bye, Rakwea. All right, let's give Rakwea a thumbs up. She's a regular student, hardworking, and it's showing. Rakwea, you're getting better every time, all right? The more we practice, the better we get. All right, let's see if we can find a new student. Maybe Mohammed here? I'm not sure. And Domenico, I haven't forgotten about my promise to you either. Mohammed, are you ready? If you're there, Mohammed, let me know. Yeah, and students, if you're using dynamic IPs, cellular connections, you might need to refresh the page every now and then, depending on your connection, especially if you're using YouTube and the website at the same time on your phone, right? It's quite intense on the bandwidth. All right, so Mohammed, if you're still there, let me know. You should see a ping coming through from my end. So you should see a little ping or hear a little ping on your end, okay? Yeah, some nice paraphrasing there, Omkar, distant, if you're distant from your home. All right, let's try Mohammed here. Mohammed seems ready. Let's do it. Hi, Mohammed.
Hi, sir.
Mohammed, if you haven't, please mute YouTube so we don't get two audios.
Yes, sir. I already muted.
You're awesome. Mohammed, is this the first time that we're talking to each other?
No, sir. It's our second time I am talking.
It's the second time. All right, good. I'm happy you're back. Mohammed, can you remind everybody where you are right now in the world?
I live in India. I'm from Hyderabad.
India, Hyderabad.
Yes, sir.
Any plans for the weekend?
Uh, yes, sir. I already planned this weekend to go to play soccer with my friends in Arena Football Club. It's a very famous club in Hyderabad, and, and inshallah, I am going to play in this
Okay.
weekend with my friends.
All right. And don't mix in other languages, right? So instead of saying inshallah, you should say God willing. God willing.
Yeah.
All right. So use English. Don't mix English and other languages together. It's easy to do that, right? Because so many people mix English now with their own language. But for the IELTS, you really just got to keep it English. Inshallah, of course, Arabic for meaning God willing, right? So use God willing.
Yeah.
All right, Mohammed, I'm happy that you're active and you've got plans to do sports. I've got plans to do that as well. A big tip for everybody, doing sports exercise is a great way to improve overall everything in life, including IELTS scores. So do that. Play sports. It's a good idea. Mohammed, let me ask you a couple of questions about the home. Are you ready?
Yes, sir.
Okay, then let's talk about the home. What factors determine the cost of a house or apartment?
Uh, Sir, can you repeat the question once again?
What factors determine the cost of a house or apartment?
Uh, Well, uh, first of all, the main point I think that the location, the spot of the house is the primary factor that most people look for, and second of all, the surrounding environment of the spot where one want to buy the house is also important, because it is obvious that a person who is buying the house will definitely see look for the convenience, the amenities available near his house or her house.
Which one is the
So it is,
most impactful?
I think, no, the surrounding area of the house, which has the all amenities available, uh, like supermarkets, parks, and other required things. I think this is the most impacted thing people look for.
How have people's house preferences changed compared to one generation before?
Um, well, compared to past 1 decade ago, people used to live. People mostly used to prefer normal houses, like what can I say? But now they choose to live in apartments and complex uh, with other neighborhoods.
Okay, I'm going to
I
stop
think.
there for a second. All right, so first of all, Mohammed, that was about a band. What do you think? Let me ask you, what do you think that was for band score instead of telling me?
I think 5.5, because I was stuck in between.
Yeah, you guessed it. I mean, you got it. It is. I would have given you a 5.5. Absolutely. So you guessed your band score. Yes, Riyadh in the chat says 5.5. You kind of get it, right? Like when you do IELTS enough and you practice enough, and especially when you join these live classes, then you can kind of guess your band score based on your performance, right? And you said it. You're like, well, I got kind of stuck. Like I wasn't really fluent. And so the examiner can't give me a 6 if I'm not fluent, right? And if my answers are a bit confusing. So yeah, that would be a band 5.5. Okay, let me ask you another question, Mohammed. Why do you think you got stuck? So why were you not fluent enough here? What was happening? What do you think what caused this 5.5, this lack of
Uh,
fluency or getting stuck?
I think uh, I get ideas slowly in my mind. I'm lacking ideas on time.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so fluency is impeded usually by being a bit stressed or nervous in the situation, and also by just having trouble thinking of those primary ideas very, very quickly, right? So there's there's a way to overcome that. Of course, there are skills and strategies where you can learn to think quickly. You can learn to think of a lot of main ideas. What I always tell students, Mohammed, is think about what 9 from 10 people would say if you asked them. Okay, so you don't need to come up with really special ideas. Usually the questions for the IELTS exam have just some very common responses, okay? So consider what the popular answers would be if you asked 10 people. What would most of them say? There's a game show in North America that actually focuses on this concept of popular answers. It's called Family Feud.
Okay. Mm,
Feud game show.
uh,
So
uh,
it's kind of a fun game show. If you have a moment, check it out on the internet. So just type in Family Feud, and the way that this game show works is they'll give a question. There's usually two families. The two families are competing against each other, and they're basically competing to figure out popular answers. So they'll ask a question like factors that make a house expensive, right? So factors, and they try to guess what is the most popular answer. And maybe the most popular answer is the neighborhood, the location, right? So like you said, factors that make a house very expensive. And maybe the most popular answer would be location. All right. Now, to think about this, Mohammed, and to think about answers quickly, because here you needed to think of 2 or 3, but you kind of just thought of 1 because you said surroundings and location, which is basically the same, right? So location is 1 for sure. What do you think would be like a second very popular answer if you asked 100 people? In Family Feud, they actually ask 100 people. So what do you think? Location would be 1. What else?
mm, Location and
Visualize your dream
the
house. So think about your dream house, Mohammed. That's from part 2, right? The location will decide how expensive it is for sure, but there's a couple other factors that should immediately pop to mind, especially when you have your dream house in your head. So what else? Location.
uh, quality of house.
Yeah, quality of materials. Sure. Yeah, if it's made of gold, right? It's going to be an expensive house if it's made of gold, correct? Right. What else? So location, quality of materials. What else? And simple. Think simple.
and uh, and the surrounding environment amenities.
If I, that's the same. That's still location. If I buy a 1-bedroom house in the location, will it be more expensive than if I buy a 5-bedroom house?
Yeah, we also have to be aware of the budget we are spending on.
And the size, right? The size of the house. Bigger
Yeah, and the
house,
size.
bigger house costs more money, right? Okay.
Yes, yes.
All right. So location, quality of materials, and the size. Those are all determining factors. Okay. And you want to think about that. So what I really want you to do, Mohammed, when you're practicing this is, watch this game show and maybe even play this game with your friends where it's like you have to think about, if you're in your IELTS class, you have to think about the top answers. So Location, quality of materials, and size. So let's go back to this question. I asked you what factors determine the cost of a house or apartment. Okay. Now, let's say, okay, you're practicing, you've got this, you're like, okay, size, location, quality, these are all determining factors. And you're giving an explanation of why that is, right? So some areas that are very safe, have beautiful nature, tend to be very expensive, right? There's another
Yes.
point that you should never forget, Mohammed. So when you're speaking and you kind of get lost or you're not sure what to say next, you feel like I'm going to repeat or I'm going to just stop talking, it's not good. What should you remember? What should you do?
I should try to speak fluently. Look for the ideas.
What kind of an idea? What can you do to speak fluently?
Uh, mm, just related to the topic, I should have to mention whatever comes in my mind regarding whatever points comes in my mind.
Think about a specific example. So think about a really good example. Now you said you're in Heberdad, India, right?
Yes, yes,
Are there some very expensive locations there?
yes. Banjara Hills is the
Okay.
expensive location.
How much is an average house in Banjara Hills?
Approximately, even if we buy for one bedroom and one hall, it will cost around 1.5 million.
Rupees, right?
Yes.
Okay, great. So now I'm going to ask you this question again. Remember those top level answers, remember the example, and I guarantee you'll be a lot more fluent this time and more accurate. Are you ready for the question one more time?
Yes, sir. I am ready.
What factors determine the cost of a house or apartment?
Mm, well, uh, the main thing people mostly look before buying the house is their budget and the size of the house, and even including the environment, the surrounding location of the house, that the amenities are available or not. They they also be aware of the budget before buying the house, so that they can also maintain it for the for long term period.
Mohammed, you're
Mm, yes, sir.
overthinking it. You're overthinking it. You're overdrawing it. I'm going to give an answer. Listen to my answer and then copy my answer after. Are you ready?
Yes, sir.
Okay. The cost of the house will be impacted by its location, its size, and its build quality. Some neighborhoods are very expensive because they're close to the ocean, they're very safe, they have lots of surrounding nature. Banjara Hills in Hiberdad, a simple one bedroom home, costs 2 million rupees. What factors determine the cost of a house or apartment?
Sir, I didn't remember what you just said me. I'm feeling
No
embarrassed.
problem. Mohammed, don't be embarrassed. You don't need to be, okay? You have to, when you're learning English, the best way to learn English is like a 3 or 4 year old without any consideration of nervousness or stress, okay? What you're experiencing is absolutely normal. Everybody experiences that. You just have to let go of it. Instead, keep stepping forward. So say, Adrian, can you just say that one more time? Okay? And then I will say, all right, no problem. So the cost of a house is greatly impacted by its location, its build quality, and the size. Some neighborhoods are very expensive because they are safe and close to nature, like Seaside. Banjara Hills in Hiberdad, a simple one bedroom home will cost 2 million rupees. Now try it, Mohammed.
Yes, sir. The cost of the house will be impacted by the size and quality of the house, and the neighborhood, which may be some expensive, but it will be safe, like Banjara Hills in Hyderabad. Uh, it uh, it will Yes,
Almost,
sir.
you're almost there. You're almost there. Where a one-bedroom home costs 2 million rupees.
With a one bedroom home, cost 2 million rupees.
Okay, very good, right? So there you go, step by step. Practice makes perfect. Okay, Mohammed? So keep that up, all right? That's how you do it. That answer that you just gave me, copying me, that's your band 7, 8. Okay? A little bit more fluent, and you're band 9, all right?
Yes, sir.
All right. And
Thank
Mohammed,
you, sir.
you're very welcome. Never be embarrassed about practicing English, okay? We'll talk again soon. Bye, Mohammed.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for giving me a chance.
You're very welcome. Bye, Mohammed. All right, give Mohammed a thumbs up. That was, sometimes I give a little bit more pressure and I'm a little bit more pushy. I want people to realize that we're all in the same boat. When we're learning a language, we all have our challenges. We all have our stressful situations. It's totally okay. Remember the mind of a 3 or 4-year-old. Why? I don't, whatever. Just keep talking. All right. Okay, that was great. Domenico. Are you ready, my good man? In Sicily, I bet there's some pretty beautiful homes in Sicily. I would just imagine, probably pretty expensive too. Domenico, are you ready? Domenico is, as I'm spoiling it a little bit here, Domenico is in Italy, more specifically in the beautiful region of Sicily. Domenico is ready.
Hello, sir. How are you doing? How
I'm
are you
doing
doing?
I'm fantastic. How are you, Domenico?
Ah, I'm doing great. I'm doing great. So I'm sitting in front. Well, I'm sitting in front of my laptop. I did some physical exercise an hour ago, and now I'm enjoying this speaking session on YouTube.
Awesome. It's good.
Yeah.
You're doing lots of exercise. That's fantastic. Domenico,
Yeah.
what's the average cost of a family home in Sicily these days?
Mm, well, I would say people. First of all, people are waiting. Are waiting more time to buy a house due to the great recession caused by COVID-19,
Mm-hmm.
and I think it has on the market. You can find a house at about for a 100,000 euros. I don't know.
Okay.
I'm not an expert. I'm not an expert in this field, but it does decrease the price. It does decrease the price.
Okay. So for about 100,000 euros, I should be able to
Yeah,
buy like a 2-bedroom apartment in Sicily.
yeah, yeah, exactly. It depends on the location, of course, because it goes without saying that you cannot expect to find a house at a low price in the city center.
Right.
Like in
Okay.
Yeah, in Messina, for example, you need the price is at least double than is at least double than in my town, because my town is just a a small coastal area right by the sea. So it has developed over the past 10 years, but
So here's an
the price.
important tip, Domenico. It sounds like you're really
Yeah,
thinking about this now that we're in the topic. You're like, okay, what is the cost of, how has it go? So when you're in
yeah,
the real IELTS exam, if you have a topic come up where it's not your cup of tea, right? Where it's like about real estate
yeah,
and you're not really following it, then just pretend like you do, right? So you want to say something like, well, right now in Sicily, the average house is 100,000 euros. In the city center, it's maybe double. Along the coast, it's
maybe
around
double.
150,000. So pretend like you know, okay? Pretend like you know.
Yeah,
Let's try a
yeah,
question.
yeah,
All
of
right?
course.
Okay, let's do this. Let's do this, Domenico. Here we go. So let's talk about modern buildings. What kinds of materials are popular to use in the construction of new buildings these days?
Well, I think the most common material used to build a house are concrete, because well, because it has to be quite resistant to have quakes, especially where I live, considering is a place where we are often struck by earthquakes. You need to use a good material that can withstand uh, can withstand uh, earthquakes.
How has technology been used in modern construction to make buildings more comfortable and safer?
Well, technology, I would say technology has had a profound impact on the construction of new or modern buildings, because in the past, well, because in the past people uh, used to build houses manually. Today, for example, a crane is enormous when you need to build a house, a 3 or 4 story house. Uh, even even the material like steel to because steel is used to build houses, uh, and there yeah.
Okay, we'll stop there. All right,
It's not my
Domenico.
cup of tea.
It's not your
It's
cup
not
of
my
tea.
cup of tea.
All right.
No.
So here's some
Definitely.
really important advice, Domenico, and this is important advice for everybody. When you're preparing for the IELTS exam, it is extremely important that you practice topics which are not your cup of tea. So, for example,
Yeah.
if you're not into playing musical instruments, try a speaking section that is about playing a musical instrument, because there's a chance. And I get this question sometimes, Domenico, like, can I ask the examiner to change the topic? You can ask them. What do you think they'll do if you ask them, can you please change this topic?
Yeah, you can change the topic. You can change it. You can change the topic. What you are supposed to do is try to make up an answer, or
You
try to
can't
come
you
up
can't
with a
you
vocabulary.
can't change the topic. Domenico, you can't change the topic.
No.
So if I
Yeah,
if I
you
say,
can change the topic. You can
Yeah.
change. You can
So
change
if I
the
say,
topic. So
Domenico,
you have to green berry.
yeah, exactly. You have to answer them. If you ask them, like, I think students have tried this in the past. They've said, like, I don't know anything about this. It's not my cup of tea. Can you change the topic? The only thing the examiner will do is they will repeat the question. They can't even say, no, I can't change the topic. Okay? They're not actually even supposed to say, no, I can't change the topic. They are instructed that the only response they can give when a student goes off topic or asks a question is just to repeat the question. And that's when students feel really uncomfortable. Like, they'll say, can you please change the topic? And then the examiner will say, let's talk about modern buildings. What kind of materials are popular? So they literally just repeat themselves like a robot, because they're not supposed to say anything that can impact your speaking in a different way. So they have to stick to the procedure. Okay. All right. So let me give a little bit of feedback on what you're doing. So that was about a band 6 to 6.5 based on fluency. You're really getting stuck and you're repeating some of the same ideas. Like you said, well, it's quite resistant, but you have good vocabulary.
I was thinking for ideas. I was thinking of ideas to come up with to answer to come up with a decent answer, but it's not actually my cup of tea. So it's not about language. I didn't struggle. To think of language or grammar. I struggled to come up with ideas because it's not my cup of tea. So I don't know why I need to.
So same answer as with Mohammed. You just have to practice thinking quickly of coming up with some common answers. And you have to remember too that IELTS, you don't have to be unique. So when I say what kinds of materials are popular to use in the construction of new buildings these days, you can say wood, concrete, glass, metal. These are all very common in houses and apartment buildings today, right? So again, what you want to do is, students, and this is for everybody, is visualize, right? So as soon as you get this kind of a question. See your city. So see the city that you live in. When you picture your town, Domenico, what kind of materials do you see for the houses? So what are the houses made of in your town?
Well, as far as I'm concerned, sorry, as far as I'm concerned, the modern houses are built with concrete, whereas in the past, I remember when I was growing up, I remember my dad working in a brick factory. So we used in the past we used bricks
Yeah.
to raise houses.
Yeah, exactly. So now it's concrete, glass, metal. In the past, it was brick and
Yeah.
stone. And you said the reason why, because it's dangerous during earthquakes, right? A brick house will collapse and fall on everybody who's inside, right?
Yeah, I live in a earthquake zone.
Yeah.
You know, my town is monitored because we don't know when a earthquake can strike here.
And we learned
So
about
we need-
earthquakes, right, Domenico? So we
Yeah.
learned about earthquakes in reading class earlier this week. And I really like how you used some of that language and some of those ideas from the previous class. So connecting your learning materials in this way is a really good idea. So I thought how smart Domenico remembers maybe that, we talked about earthquakes in the reading class earlier. So now he's making that connection, and that was great. So keep it simple, right? So let me give you an example answer for this, and then just mimic me, copy me, okay? So, I think some of the most
All right.
common materials to use these days are concrete, glass, and metal. As where in the past it was more brick and stone here in Sicily. Concrete is especially popular because it is earthquake resistant, and I live in an earthquake zone. Okay, go ahead. So what kinds of materials are popular to use in the construction of new buildings these days?
I can't see the.
I didn't write it. I didn't write it. I just said it. We're doing just from
Yeah, all
speaking.
right. Yeah. Can you repeat, please? Because I didn't follow you.
Okay,
I
I'm
wasn't
doing that on
following
purpose
you.
this time. So I think a lot of
Yeah.
students are realizing, why isn't he writing it?
Yeah,
I'm
yeah, because
purposefully.
I know.
Yeah.
I wasn't paying attention to what you were saying.
Right.
Sorry.
Here we go. So this is what I want everybody to pay attention to this speech. Here we go. So some of the most common materials for building around Sicily are concrete, glass, and wood, as these are earthquake safe. However, in the past it was more brick and stone, but now the newer houses in the last 10 years, they're basically all glass and concrete. So what kinds of materials are popular to use in the
So
construction?
some of the most common, some of the most popular materials which I use to build houses are concrete, glass, and which are mixed with steel, steel. Whereas in the past, brick and stone were mainly used to raise houses. Given it's a earthquake. I live in a earthquake zone. It is reasonably to think that these are the best materials, material resistant to earthquakes.
Good. Much better. Okay, much better. We want to cut out some of that redundancy, repetition, but much better, Domenico. All right, Domenico, so practice some of these topics that are not your cup of tea, okay?
Yeah. Thank you so much.
All right. Bye, Domenico.
I need to buy the bullet. I have to buy the bullet. I know.
Yep, absolutely. You got to bite the bullet and practice those topics. Bye, Domenico. Have a great rest of the weekend.
Hey, same to you.
All right, that was Domenico. Thumbs up. Awesome. Okay, let's hear it from somebody else. Let's see who we have volunteering here. Let's hear from Kenjayeva. Maybe Kenjayeva's got some good ideas around these questions. Are you ready, Kenjayeva? I think Kenjayeva's got an exam coming up. Yes, on the 24th. So let's give her a chance. I think she's in Uzbekistan, if I'm not mistaken. Thank you for the thumbs up, by the way, and the support, students. It's so important to show each other that, you care, you're listening, you're there to support each other. Here we go.
Hello,
Hi, Kenjayeva. How are you?
I'm fine, thanks. What about you?
I'm doing pretty good. Any special plans for the weekend?
And no, just practice.
Okay. All right. And am I correct? You're in Uzbekistan,
Yes?
in Tashkent, capital.
Yeah.
All right. Full sentences, Kenjaiva. Yes, I am right here in Tashkent on the outskirts in a concrete building. Are you in a concrete building?
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
Full sentences. Yes, I'm in a 7-story concrete high rise on the 5th floor. Are you in a concrete building, Kenjaiva?
Yes, I'm on a concrete building on sixth floor.
Okay, awesome. Okay, Kenjaiva, then let's get going on a couple of these questions. Are you ready?
Yeah, sure.
All right, then let's talk about home. What are the most important points to consider when buying a new home?
Well, in my opinion, before buying a home, person should check surroundings. I mean, whether this house was built with high quality materials. Also, if it's new, and I think they should also pay attention to condition of house. I mean, if there is a lot of large rooms, bathrooms, like a lot of good
Why are these
condition.
factors important?
Well, these factors are really important for living because in this way, people will have a chance to live comfortably. Also, if there might be some kind of family gathering, so they won't be like shy to show their house to other people.
Let's talk about modern buildings. What kind of materials are popular to use in the construction of new buildings these days?
Well, I think wood, brick, and glasses are most popular and common as always, because these materials are strong start to build it. Building also they are more reliable, and in addition, these materials will give a good appearance from outside the house.
How has technology been used in modern construction to make the buildings more comfortable and safer for residents?
Well, that's an interesting question. I think technology is really useful while building a house, as we can draw construction of the building on software, or we can use camera and sirens to keep a house safe from being robbed. Just like we have 3 cameras in our home, so it's like pretty safe, and we can live really comfortably.
Okay, that's the end of part 3. And that concludes the speaking section of the IELTS exam. You will have your mark in 2 days online after you finish the other sections, and in 10 days you'll have your official certificate in the mail. Goodbye.
Thank you.
Okay, don't go anywhere, Kenjaiva. Good. All right, so I'm going to reflect on your questions and on your answers. So that would score you about a band 6.5. You're fluent, but there are some awkward mistakes. There's a bit of hesitation in certain parts. And it's a tough topic. I mean, I'll give it to you. It's, for everybody, talking about buildings and construction of buildings, it's a tough topic. But it's a good topic. It is a common topic, even though we don't necessarily think about it all the time. Okay, I'll tell you what some of those mistakes are and what you really need to pay attention to. Okay, Kenjaiva? So you did some steps really well where you bought some time by saying that's an interesting question, and then you realized, okay, this is a good answer. So you also, after realizing that you're pausing, you realized, okay, I should give an example, and then you said, in my home there's 3 cameras which keep it very safe, and that was really smart of you to do that as well. Okay, so the first question I asked you is what points determine the cost of a new home, and you mentioned that the surroundings, the quality of the materials. Give explanations. So don't forget about your explanations. As soon as you have an answer, Kenjeva, think since certain neighborhoods are very expensive or certain building materials can be quite expensive. Visualize, right? So imagine the buildings in Tashkent and what are the expensive buildings and why are they expensive, right? The size of the rooms, having high ceilings. Usually apartment buildings where the ceilings are more than 3 meters are much more expensive than those which have 2-meter ceilings, right? Or 2.5-meter ceilings. So don't forget about those numbers. Okay. And then I asked you this question of what kinds of materials are popular to use. And you said, well, I think wood, brick, and glasses are common these days. There's a very strange mistake there, Kenjayeva. What is the mistake?
Maybe glasses,
Yes. Why is that a very strange mistake?
because we don't use a glass to build a house.
We use glass to build a house, but we don't use glasses because glasses are something that we put on our face, right?
Yeah.
So what I'm imagining here is a house made of glasses. And that's very kind of comical, if you will, right? That's something we might see in an anime of sorts. Right? A house built of glasses. So you have to be careful, as soon as you kind of create this strange, almost kind of funny picture in your examiner's head, they're going to drop you a point, right? Because they're going to be like, so careful with that, right? And if you catch yourself doing that, Kenjayeva, correct yourself. So if you say, well, I think wood, brick, and glasses, I mean glass, are common these days, okay? Can you practice that correction? So just say, well, I think wood, brick, and glasses, I mean glass, are common these days because they are strong and reliable.
Sure. Well, I think wood, brick, and glasses, glass are common these days because they are strong and more reliable.
Okay, good. Reliable.
Reliable. Oh my gosh,
Yeah,
I
it's a
have
tongue
some.
twister. Yeah, don't worry about it. It's a tongue twister. I sometimes say blah, 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 sometimes too. It's a tough one because it's blah, 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 blah. Your mouth really has to go in different directions there. So be careful about that. And then you can jump into an example. So those examples can really, really save you. All right. So you could say, for example, all of the new buildings I have seen constructed in the last 10 years in Tashkent are using these materials, like the new trade building in downtown. Okay, can you try that example? So I'm going to do the whole example here. Well, I think wood, brick, and glass are common these days because they're strong and reliable. In the past decade, all of the buildings I have seen in Tashkent being constructed are made of these materials. What kinds of materials are popular to use in the construction of new buildings these days, Kenjayeva?
Well, I think wood, brick, and glasses, glass are common these days because they are strong and reliable. Reliable. Moreover, nowadays I'm seeing a lot of buildings that are built in my country
Stick to your city. Stick to your city, Kenjayeva. And you don't need to use a strong connective here, so you don't need to use however or moreover. Just say, in Tashkent, in the last decade, every building I have seen constructed are made of these materials. Okay, try it one more time.
Just an example or all answer?
What do you think? What do you think is better? All answer or just the example?
Maybe all answer?
Absolutely. Yeah, go for it. The whole thing from the beginning.
I think wood, brick, and glasses, glass are common these days because they are strong and reliable. In Tashkent, nowadays, a lot of buildings are made of these materials. Also, they are giving a good appearance from outside the house.
Okay. A little bit too much on the end there. As soon as you say these materials, you got to stop because you made some mistakes thereafter again, right? So you have to limit yourself. But Kenjayeva, that was much, much better, okay? And good, self-correction is good. So at your level, Kenjeva, you should be self-correcting, right? And if you're having trouble with reliable, then slow it down and really articulate reliable, okay?
All right.
All right. Otherwise, good. Okay. So quantification, examples, those will save you. You thought about that at the end. So you got that example in at the end. Remember that every time you get stuck. Okay.
All right.
Okay, Kenjeva, keep up the good work and come back again. We'll talk again soon. Okay.
Yeah, sure. Thank you.
You're welcome. Bye, Kenjeva. All right. So thumbs up. Yes, reliable. If you're finding it difficult to pronounce that word, just practice it. Articulate it. Break it down into its syllables. Reliable. Okay, reliable. All right. Students, I am going to stop there for today because I have a speaking interview with someone in a few minutes and I'm going to get ready for that. By the way, you can book full mock IELTS speaking interview practice with me using this yellow button there in your My Student account. And right now we were using this Student Partner Speaking button. To get all of the materials, use the Premium IELTS package, everyone. It is accessible by clicking this big red button. We are an official British Council IDP partner. I'm a certified British Council agent. You're in great hands with us. So click that big red button. Do yourself a favor. Study before your before your official exam. And if you have any questions, let us know. I will be back on Thursday with speaking part 1 to follow with these live classes, get the schedule every week. Make sure to subscribe to the channel. That's a very good idea. Okay. Thank you, members. Masanate, I hope to see you volunteering. It's one of our newer members I see. Fuang, Sunantha, Andrew, Domenico, Helen, thank you so much. Sarah, it was great to have you helping everybody moderate the chat. And thank you to all of our regular viewers. I'm Adrian. I'm taking off, but I'll be back in the coming week with more IELTS lessons. Much love to all of you, wherever you are in our big, beautiful world. You're all beautiful people. Bye for now.